Have you ever felt lonely despite having many people around you? Have you ever wondered why? Well, in today's video, I'll be covering that. What's going on, guys? It's Leo, and in this video, I'll be talking about the reasons on why you are lonely, and I'll be highlighting some misunderstanding about loneliness as well. And at the end of the video, I'll share the number one reason on how to break free from being lonely, plus other interesting facts as well. So if you're interested into such deep topics related to mental clarity and fulfillment, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I upload weekly videos talking about things that has a huge impact on our minds and life. So without further ado, let's get started. Loneliness is a state of mind characterized by a dissociation between what an individual wants or expects from a relationship and what that individual experiences in that relationship. It's a mixture of emotions like solitude, depression, and isolation, and it affects our mental and physical health tremendously. Research has proven that it plays a huge role in causing Alzheimer, heart stroke, muscle pain, and appetite changes, and many more. In a study of over 20,000 adults, 56% of them said that they don't have even one person to understand them as they are. 54% of them said that the people they surrounded themselves with were not necessarily with them, and almost 40% said that they lacked companionship, no meaningful relationship, and they felt isolated. We all have been invited to a party, but felt lonely. We all have hundreds of people on social media, but not a real person to call us. We all have had a dinner with people, but we felt that we don't belong with them. And as a result of all of that, we feel alienated and we begin to swim in oceans of bitterness and frustration, while everybody around us is happy. Loneliness is devastating and it's emotionally painful. Interestingly, the brain processes it in a similar way to a physical pain. So in order to understand loneliness, I think it's important to differentiate between being alone and being lonely, as the former is an objective isolation, while the latter is a perceived one. So I'll explain more here. Being alone, or aloneness, in contrast to loneliness, doesn't entail this feeling of alienation, pain, being outcast and cut off. Firstly, people can experience solitude in different ways. Introverts thrive on alone times. It helps to recharge their batteries. They feel energized by focusing on their inner world. Extroverts, however, are more likely to feel restless and unfulfilled during long periods of solitude. A very nice description of aloneness can be found in Tom Brown Jr.'s book, The Grandfather. And on this topic he said, "The chasm between being alone and loneliness is deep. The way you begin to be alone and at peace without being lonely is to know that you are with your best friend." So what does that mean? His words mean that aloneness is a sense of comfort and ease when you are in your own company. On the other hand, when you are lonely, you become your own worst enemy. There are many reasons that cause loneliness. Besides the excessive use of social media that got us to be more distant, I believe there are core reasons on why you and me feel lonely. I'll share my story here in a nutshell on how I ended up being lonely, and I'm sure most of you will relate. Then I'll talk about the lessons learned and what did I do. One of the reasons that got me to be lonely was that I sought closeness in any relationship rather than being superficial. Relationship coach Kira Sartran explains loneliness in a really interesting way, and I quote, "If my relationship with someone didn't have that element of closeness, it tended to make me feel more isolated than just being alone." And this is exactly what I wanted, this feeling of being understood and felt. It's everything I was looking for, but sadly enough, I didn't find it the way I wanted it. You see, I look for more quality relationship, not a higher number of them. For me, when it comes to any relationship, it's all about the feelings, not the numbers. Of course, developing a relationship is a two-way street. Becoming closer to a person doesn't mean you're dumping all of your problems on them, but that you're developing a connections and forming a bond and attachment that is mutually beneficial and valued. I think this is really important to note because when people are sad, they look for someone whom they trust to share their deepest insecurities with. I had so many friends growing up, and they were around me every day. But that level I wanted to reach was missing, and no matter how hard I tried, something was always missing. Keep in mind, this experience had taken place throughout some periods of my high school and some college years as well. I remember at the time I came across an article called The Roots of Loneliness, and in that article there was a segment suggesting to keep our expectations of others realistic. So I decided, instead of keeping myself so enclosed into my own standards and needs, reaching no result, I would try to practice this saying. So I let my guards down, convincing myself that it's true no one wants to think of himself or herself as the problem, but it's always good to take a step back and see if I was the source of it, if I was too demanding into what I wanted to see. So surprisingly, I found myself going out with some friends and having a shallow, nice time. And by that I mean just playing some football matches here and there or some gatherings every once in a while. But deep down, ever since it started, I was suffocating. So what happened next? Well, I felt burned out after a while, as no matter how long I escaped what I wanted to live, that feeling of not belonging never stopped consuming me from deep within. And that's what happened. I needed to be understood the way I am. I wanted to have a deep connection, as I realized that these times won't last forever, and not everyone was going to jump into the same page with me, and not everyone was willing to be on the level that I wanted to see, in terms of a mindset, standards, empathy, passions, and a lot more. You see, the feeling of loneliness acts as an awareness that we are in an unhealthy place. As a result, I accepted my solitude and curled back into my own space, living with my own thoughts by myself, and thinking on what to do and how to contribute into reaching what I want. By doing so, I was mentally satisfied. Spending times alone on things I have interest at, learning new things, and building my mind and self-image were all the things that really were important to me. But surely I needed a change. So what did I do afterwards? For sure, I couldn't stay like this for years and years to come. So I did some evaluation on things that helped me to reach a better place. It worked for me, and I'll share it here in hopes it might be helpful for you. So here they are. You should review your past. There might be hurtful experiences in your past that contributed to why you feel so lonely. One of the first places you should start is by examining yourself to see if that is true. If so, you'll have a better idea on why you feel this way, and you will be able to move forward while eliminating the who's, the where's, the when's, and what's that cause such feelings to you. You see, each person will feel distress when their need for companionship is not fulfilled. At some point, people labeled me as rude just because I stopped seeing them again. They failed to see through me, but nonetheless, I realized that it's okay for me to be the way I am. So I transformed my loneliness into aloneness and started to pay higher emphasis on myself. You see, when we enjoy our own company, when we view ourselves in a friendly manner, we can find some peace of mind. I couldn't find it outside, so I created it in me. If you are constantly trying to run and hide from yourself, the grip of loneliness will remain. And instead of escaping your own company, get more acquainted with it. And by doing so, I started focusing on the bigger picture of my life. I had decided to move on and leave my country behind. I had a goal, a lifestyle, and a career that were in my mind this whole time. And nor the people, nor the environment were good for me to live that fulfillment. So I left. And thankfully, that was the best decision I ever made in my whole life. Not only I met someone whom I found myself completely vulnerable and understood with, but I also managed to secure some personal goals along the way. But none of that would have happened if I stayed waiting for things to change from me, because clearly it didn't, no matter how many times and attempts I tried to. So my point is, check yourself and be honest with what you want. Check your environment and make a necessary change, and move away from any connections that are toxic to you. Do that because you owe that to yourself. Be true to yourself. Don't make the mistake I made. Don't let the urge to conform to other people's expectations turn you into a different person. I tried to, but I felt so far away from my roots, my traits, and my needs, and I ended up wasting time and energy. Focus on your inner self and be your own self judge, rather than relying on outer stimuli and influences. Be proud of the person you are and that your opinions are important. Being in a place that brings you happiness matter. Being in a relationship that have all the elements of success matter. And constantly reinforce your own uniqueness and personality. Don't fear being different. Be yourself. Think about your likes, dislikes, and where you feel comfortable. Live your life having your own thoughts and beliefs and avoid people who make you feel bad. Just don't spend time with such people. Stay away from those who did not value your time and efforts as much as theirs, and those who left you neglected in any possible way, thinking that the entire relationship or friendship is revolving only around them. Reflect on yourself and see how can you find purpose from this position to move forward with your ideas, as you and everything you believe at deserve to be seen and witnessed by you. Now, and beside everything I said in terms of accepting loneliness, accepting yourself as you are, and making some changes, and beside having a pet or doing some community services can be helpful to eliminate loneliness, here is the number one answer on how to get rid of it. Research has proven that in order to get rid of it and to be happy, you have to be seen, heard, and valued. You may have heard of blue zones areas before. Research has found that people in these areas have lived the longest and happiest lives compared to others. Despite cultural differences, there is only one thing research have found that they all have in common, and that is prioritizing deep connections and attachments, and focusing on meaningful quality relationships where feelings like love and mutual understanding are there. Where you are seen, heard, and valued in all of your values and needs. Think about this for a moment. And I think it's especially more important during times when you are on the verge of something big that will change your life. You need that deeper connection with someone who will be with you in such matter. Because having that one meaningful connection can be your way to break out of whatever you might see or experience. That's why such connections and attachments in a friendship, relationship, you name it, is really vital for an everlasting, meaningful, fulfilled, and happy one. So whether it's a friend or a loved one you created that mutual deep attachment with, don't let him or her go away. Prioritize spending much time with him or her. Invite him or her to a dinner, to a trip, to a party, to a place where you both feel happy at, as this valuable connection is really hard to find, yet the happiest you will be when you have it. And at the end, don't change your right of holding into your own thoughts and beliefs. And remember that a season of loneliness is not a permanent one. Seasons change, and this one will. Don't be afraid to be alone. Use it to fuel your mind and passions and build an authentic connection with who you are and where you want to go in life. Be as you are, the way you want, and the right person will be there for you. I hope you will reach a great, meaningful, fulfilled life, and I hope you will find that person whom his or her love to you is so loud that it serenades your insecurities, making you live a life full of colors, cleansed from any pain and prejudice, with an attachment beyond measures. Embrace who you are and what you want to have, and start making changes in your life because your life matters. And remember that you being genuinely happy and fulfilled, personally and professionally, can be attained when you live your hopes and passions and life the way you want it, just the way you are. So be strong and make your choices reflect your hope of what you want to see, to live, and to do. And in the words of Emily Dickinson, hope is the thing, with feathers that purchase the soul, it sings the tone without the words, and never stops at all. And that's it guys for today's video. Thank you so much for your time. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thank you all again. Be strong be passionate, be happy, and I'll see you next time.